I decided for today I would have the background be hell, because demons, hell, you know? Genius connections we're making here. Plus, you can't spell Halloween without hell. And I feel like I might visit here at some point, so... God damn, you really did write an essay, huh? This background is literally my room. You live in hell? How is it? Like, okay, low-key it seems fun. Like, what do you guys get up to down there? Pretty hot? You don't have, like, air conditioning or something? Since I love yippin' and yappin', this is in response to the paranormal experience announcement. So eons ago, damn, how old are you? When I was but a rather small lad around the age of 8 or 9, I lived in a trailer park, and in said trailer park, there was this one particular night that I will never forget. There I was, hanging out with my friends, as one does, and I decided to ask my mom if I could spend the night at a friend's house. And considering he just lived right across from our trailer, she agreed. Now this started off as a normal night, nothing too rambunctious or anything of that nature until it was the hour of slumber. Everyone was sleeping normally and suddenly with the sound so distinct I can still recall to this day, a sound of a chain dragging on the floor. Rather, this was above us. Oh? Now upon hearing this I was rather distraught, seeing as how I had just awoken and thought maybe it could have been the leaves. I am not and have always been rather unsure of paranormal activity and always tried to find a reasonable explanation. And this was just an excuse to help me understand what my ears were hearing. This theory was then debunked, as right after my friend had also been woken up by the sound. The sound already scaring me enough with the eerie scratching of metal and metal dragging across one another, there was an additional element when my friend woke up. The sound of the chain dragging along with the sound of footsteps, as if recreating the sound of a prisoner with shackles, still on walking on top of the trailer. Now my friend was equally as terrified and confirmed that what I was hearing wasn't false. Therefore, we both lay there quivering with fear, but we agreed to run to his parents' room. When we finally gained courage to get up, we were halted by a rather terrifying loud bang. We jumped with how loud this sounded. Now this time his parents definitely heard that. They came running to our room and his mom told us to be quiet and Dad had a metal bat and was going outside. The sound of footsteps stops as soon as he opens the door, and his mom had a face of pure fear while holding us both in her arms. The dad came back and said there was nothing, but we all heard the footsteps along with the sound of chains dragging. The loud bang from earlier, which we didn't know the cause of, was a refrigerator. It was on the floor, and surrounding the fridge was a bunch of trolls? What do you mean by that? To this day, I have no clue what happened that day, but in the mind of my friend's mother, she believed that the trolls came to life and dropped the fridge, and that the trailer was cursed. I don't believe that because, come on now, trolls? Really? But then again, I have no other explanation, I have no choice but to believe it was paranormal activity. Either way, they moved shortly after, and so did I, but if I could, I would visit it again to see if anything happens. When I first read Trolls, I thought this whole thing was like a joke, and you were gonna be like, oh my god, trolls. Can you imagine they didn't even own any trolls? There's some Halloween movie where a bunch of little trolls like come to life and attack the character. They were surrounding the fridge, just scattered everywhere. Dude, I my pants. I'm gonna be so real. Trolls would make it so much worse. Pause. Grandma checking out my new wife. My grandma died, 1980. Way before I met my wife and married, 1988. On my first visit back home with my new wife, we ended up sleeping in one of the back bedrooms of my mom's house, where my grandma used to live. On the first night there, my wife and I were both in bed. She had fallen asleep and was waiting for sleep to overtake me. This was in El Paso, Texas, and it was hot, so we left the door to our room open and the back door open, with the screen door locked, so we could get some cool, fresh desert air. As I was lying in bed, I heard what sounded like feet shuffling down the hallway. We had linoleum floors. I heard the sound start at the end of the hallway and make its way to our bedroom door. Again, the door is open to let in fresh air. The shuffling noise stopped right outside our door. The room itself was carpeted and thus reducing the footstep noise. I was laying on my left side with my back to the edge of the bed. As I lay there wondering if I had actually heard the footsteps, it felt like someone had sat on the bed behind my feet. Because I was close to the edge of the bed, I felt the mattress sink so that it was enough to make my legs and feet kind of roll over a bit towards the edge of the bed. I was like, holy effing crap. I lay there, did not look at the end of the bed, kept my eyes closed, edged closer to my wife and spooned her. Laid there refusing to open my eyes, scared out of my wit until I fell asleep. Much later, I accepted my gift and realized that more than likely my grandmother, deceased in 1980, thank you for the reminder, had stopped by to check out my new bride. I think my grandma was checking out my new wife. I don't think she meant any harm. I think she was just curious. Grandma just wanted to see if his wife was a baddie. Kind of valid. No, that's kind of valid of her. She was just curious. I do like the most inconvenient things. I'd flicker the lights all the time. Like if they're getting ready to go to bed, I'm flicking the light on. When they get up and turn it off, they get back down, I'm gonna flick it on again. My dead sister ratted me out to my mom. Literally what it says. My older sister passed away at 5 years old, a year before I came along. My mom is super connected to her still to this day, and I have quite a few stories from her I could share. This one makes me laugh now though. In my 20s, I started smoking. My mom is very anti-drug, so I only smoked when she was away. A few days after returning from a night away, she cornered me in the kitchen and told me she had a dream about Tina, the big sis. Tina told her I was smoking wacky backy. Wacky backy is crazy. Tina told her I was smoking in this dream and she wanted to ask me if it was true. I convinced her it was just a weird dream and absolutely was not. Sorry, Mom, and we moved on. 3 days later, my mom came bursting into my room at 4 a.m., shouting at me that I was lying to her. Tina had come back to her and told her I was lying and that I am. I had to get up for work at 5, so I got up and made tea because she was really angry. So I confessed all, and she went back to bed annoyed at me for making her doubt my sister more so than the smoking. So yeah, my dead sister routed me out to my parents. In 2013, my wife and I divorced and we both moved into separate homes. The divorce went well and we are still good friends to this day, partly because we have a daughter together. We agreed to split custody over our daughter and I rented an old house in an historic district in the city where we live. It was a very pretty home, built in 1935, but kept up very well. I would have my daughter 2 weeks at a time and she had a bedroom in the back of the house. She was 3 years old at the time and I kept noticing her talking to her friend. One day I found her in a little closet talking to someone, and I remember her saying she was talking to another little girl named Betty. I have no idea where she heard the name Betty, as she was only 3 years old, but I just chalked it all up to a child's vivid imagination. Keep in mind, I am a single dad to a little girl. I really have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to dressing, hair, or just little girl stuff in general. Her mother is good at that stuff, but not me. I put my daughter to bed one night after her bath. I remember brushing her hair that night, but that was all I did. The very next morning, her mom came to pick her up from my house, and my daughter was just waking up. Her mom went back to her bedroom to find my daughter's hair was fixed in 2 perfect French braids. Her mom was real proud of me at first that I had done her hair so cute, but I told her I didn't and couldn't do that. I can't even braid her hair, much less do perfect French braids. We asked her daughter how her hair got fixed, and she told us that Betty had done it during the night. I broke the contract on the rental agreement and moved out within the next month. Valid reaction. I feel like when I hear ghost stories a lot of the time, they're like, oh, this weird keeps happening to me in my house. Okay, then move out. One paranormal thing happens to me like that, especially if I live alone, I'm booking it. Next day, bags packed, everything in boxes, I'm moving somewhere else. I'm trying to get Betty to work for me. No, literally, can Betty do my hair? I can't do French braids. That'd be so fun. We can have a little sleepover. Shout out Betty for that. When I was 15, Paranormal Activity came out. My friend and I decided to try the Ouija board. We spoke to this guy named Frank, and I remember he used to say fucked up things like, my mom is standing behind you and she doesn't like you. I'll overdose on pills. Just weird and cray dark. But my friends and I both thought we were f***ing with each other, trying to freak each other out. A few weeks later, I was sleeping in bed. I had a shelf above my bed head that my grad teddy from primary school was sitting on top. The teddy has sat there for years without being moved. And there was a dresser with a mirror at the end of my bed. Never sleep in front of a mirror. I don't remember where I learned that, but I just know it's a thing. I woke up to the teddy bear falling on top of my head, and when I would wake up looking directly into my mirror. There I saw a girl brushing her hair in front of my dresser. I rubbed my eyes numerously, and instead of her disappearing, she became more clear. But the more I stared, it was like I was looking at myself when I was even younger, like 6 or 7 years old, as she had thick auburn hair, but was wearing a very old-style type of nightgown. Soon I realized it wasn't. I hid under the covers, and after checking numerous times to see if she was gone, she finally disappeared. Fully freaked me the fuck out. Anyway, we stopped doing the board and did other things normal teenagers do. I never told anyone about what I saw but a few friends, but put it down that I was seeing things and was still dreaming. Fast forward 11 years. I'm now 26. I picked up my sister and was driving her home, and she randomly starts talking about when my friend and I played the board. And she's like, we swear we saw you brought something into the house. I shrug and I'm like, why do you think that? And she's like, we used to wake up seeing a girl brushing her hair in front of us. I slammed the brakes and was like, what the f***? Valid reaction, once again. I would have crashed that damn car. And she's like, yeah, she didn't say anything or do anything, but just brush her hair. And then I fessed up that I saw her too, but I thought I was dreaming. Anyway, we both haven't seen her for many years, which I consider lucky, because I don't want anything in the house. But I must admit, it does still freak me out, and I really don't want to see her again. Moral, don't f with the board. It's legit. And if my sisters and I all saw the same ghost, you may invite something in who you never want in your house. I wouldn't do it in general, but especially not in my house. No, thank you. She's just trying to play with her hair? No, literally, let a girl brush her hair. Maybe she wants to, like, do a cute little hairstyle, like 2 French braids. She thinks she's Betty, what the hell? Do we have any final thoughts? Honestly, I love reading stories like that. I don't like when they happen to me. I think the moral of the story today is don't fuck with ghosts, don't use Ouija boards. That's about it.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.